Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode. They're all special, but today we are going to be covering the categories we have not talked about at this year's Academy Awards. We've only done predictions thus far for Best Picture and the acting categories before the fall festivals and then afterwards. So now we're going to talk about all those other things, the director categories, screenplay, some of the text, all that stuff. All those important categories that are crucial to these films in Best Picture and not in Best Picture. So, any thoughts, Anthony, before we jump into some new territory?
I am going to make a prediction now that we've kind of done the first, really the main festival period of the season. And we're only really waiting on two movies at this point, Wicked and Avatar. That I think this is going to be a year like 2019, where we're going to see a lot of movies suck up a lot of nominations. Like I'm predicting like at least four movies are going to get north of like 9 nominations apiece. I'm just sensing it's one of those years. I just think that we're not going to spread the love that much. I do think a lot of international films are going to do well, but that means that when it comes to the craft categories, we're going to have to rely on kind of the old favorites because I just that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, and we'll see. Because I'm curious if you don't feel that way, what movies you see getting into these craft categories. I'm just deciding to choose the kind of more tried and tested, known quantities. And so we'll see, but I think we're drifting in that direction.
Further ado, the person who constructs all of these categories and more that we're talking about. Let's start with Best Director. I believe we have the same 5 here. I have Paul Thomas Anderson, Chloe Zhao, Jafar Panahi, Joachim Trier, Ryan Coogler. You've got the same different order: PTA, Coogler, Zhao, Trier, Panahi. I think it's really just going to be PTA's year in terms of the win, even if it doesn't win Best Picture, kind of like Jane Campion for Power of the Dog. This is where he's going to be honored regardless, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, Chloe Zhao won. I honestly think that's really what's keeping her
5 years ago.
While Paul Thomas Anderson, he's already gotten 11 nominations, and it's likely that this will be his 12th, 13th, and 14th. Yeah. So I think this is maybe the lock of the evening. We can call it now. As far as the others, I just think that they have strong international support when it comes to Panahi and Trier. And then when it comes to Zhao, of course, she's coming off of, yes, Eternals, but I think more so Nomadland. And this is kind of her first foray back into this sort of scene, returning as an independent filmmaker. And Hamlet's definitely a top tier contender this year. With that producer talent alone of Mendes and Spielberg, but then also it's one of the most emotionally devastating films of the season. And then, I think right now Coogler's in a very good place. I think a lot of people really want to lean in to Ryan Coogler, to Michael B. Jordan, and to Sinners overall. It was a big box office hit. I'm sure we'll get a re-release that will re-energize people's love for the film. And it's going to do an all-around play. And, you could say that, well, that's kind of what Black Panther did. It was, an Oscar winner in the craft categories, and it got into Best Picture, but Coogler didn't come along for the ride. I just think that this movie is an original concept. I think people give it a lot more credit for how it was made, how he was this force and this vision behind it. He also gets credit for the 2 Black Panthers and for Creed and Fruitvale Station, as this is now time to award his body of work up to this point. This is one of those movies that I feel like is going to be 10 plus nominations, and it would be ridiculous to see a movie like Sinners perform so well and for him not to go off the ride.
But honestly, I see a world where an Oscar nomination morning, the big headline and talk everywhere is Sinners does good, but Ryan Coogler is snubbed, because this branch in particular really goes for more international in particular, but like auteur, like vision style films. And I just do worry, which is why I have him at number 5, how they're going to view Sinners. I know it's definitely, I don't think he was ever going to get in for something like Black Panther, which was like a franchise film. This is an original film.
It's close, but yes, I agree.
I don't know. It helps that it's like an original, like more of an auteur vision here. I just do still worry, especially I think there's a clear top 6 here, honestly. And the 6 that we have not talked about, which you'll see when we get to honorable mentions, is Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. I think those are the main people in contention here. And I haven't put him in taking Coogler's spot just yet, because I'm waiting to see with that one a little bit. I know that the buzz out of the New York Film Festival was very good, but that was also like a surprise film that people are seeing 2 months in advance. It's a New York film set in New York. Josh Safdie's a very New York centered filmmaker. Timmy was there in person. I think some of that buzz when it's actually, and then it screened in LA a few days later, and the buzz was not nearly as high. At this point, feel like Sinners will be a stronger film than Marty Supreme. And Coogler is already out there campaigning. I know there were some people worried because he said in the past that he's not big on like the Academy Awards and stuff if he would campaign, but he's already out there. He's done several screenings and Q&As. So I think he will be campaigning. I think when like with certain films, there's like a clear, I think, person at the center of like, if we're going to award this film, this is who we will reward. Like with Paul Thomas Anderson in One Battle After Another, I think with Hamnet, it's Jessie Buckley more so than Chloe Zhao. I think it was just an accident. It was it's Jafar Panahi that you would want to award, et cetera, et cetera. I think with Sinners, more so than anyone else, the person you would want to reward is Ryan Coogler, because I think that's more of an ensemble film. I don't think there's any acting performance in particular that stands out. So whether it's in screenplay or here, I think he'll at least be nominated here. I think this film in general is more, if directing wise, leaning more towards like a Get Out than it is. I do see there's a world where it's kind of like Christopher Nolan for Inception, where it's a big original hit blockbuster.
And remember, the part of what propelled Christopher Nolan getting the nomination. Well, he didn't get nominated for Best Director for Inception. Shockingly, his first Best Director nomination was for Dunkirk. But part of what I think pushed Inception into Best Picture and into the Oscar conversation was because he was coming off of the successful Dark Knight, and I think it's a very comparable situation. Him coming off of Black Panther. I'm feeling good about him today. You're right. Let's see how Marty Supreme performs, and then we can look at the other honorable mentions.
The other people, like you said, I think Chloe Zhao is pretty locked up. I think Panahi and Trier have the Cannes thing behind them. I don't remember the last time a Cannes film was nominated in Best Picture and their director wasn't nominated. So I think that just kind of shows the director branch's taste, and I think both of them fit within that. Then, like we mentioned, Josh Safdie is definitely in contention. Park Chan-wook, if no other choice, does become a top tierish contender in Best Picture, but I don't think it will right now. But there's definitely like a big auteur vision from him with that film. I mean, it's extremely well directed. I would definitely, it's top 5 worthy in my opinion.
But then beyond that, I really don't think
I don't see
anybody else is getting. I really think that it's again, I told you the field is narrow in a lot of these categories. I mean, the only one that I would just throw on here, just because there might be some goodwill, especially with his Critics' Choice win, is John M. Chu, but I really don't think the directing branch is going to go there. But I would put him 13th on this list.
Okay, yeah, what I'm saying. Maybe. If there were, if I did a 13th, he would probably be 13th.
I think he deserves mention. This is I think going to be a top tier contender in a lot of categories. It's going to be a big hit. And he did come off last year with a directing win from a major organization. So if they feel, all right, let's give him his props for this whole effort, I could see. I think he deserves to be on the list, but I don't think he's going to surmount anybody in our top 5.
Yes, I don't. Critics' Choice. We'll see what they do this year. I never really take much of what they do extremely.
That would be. I honestly could see Critics' Choice doing Coogler.
Yeah, I could see that.
Coogler. Especially because they did John M. Chu last year, which was a big shock. But it was a film that spoke to the masses.
There was a less obvious director to award last year than there is this year, though. Maybe unless Frankenstein becomes super strong, Del Toro could get in there, but I doubt it. And if The Secret Agent surprises and gets super strong, maybe. But I really just think it's probably those top 6 or 7 in contention there. Along to Best Original Screenplay, where I think we've got this 4 in common here. I have a little bit of a swing here. It was just an accident winning. Then I've also got Sinners, Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme. Our one difference is you have Is This Thing On instead of House of Dynamite, but
which,
the main reason
have you seen both of those, House of Dynamite and Is This Thing On?
I've seen House of Dynamite. I'm seeing Is This Thing On later this week. So soon.
Okay, because I've seen Is This Thing On, and I think it's a very charming movie. And to me, I feel like it's the type of movie that maybe people want to find a place for it. And it's about process. It's about Will Arnett's character becoming a stand-up comic and starting out really bad and getting better at it. And it's a delightful sort of character piece. This duality between the two of them. So to me, I feel like I could see it popping here, and this just being the place we're going to acknowledge Is This Thing On. It could be a movie that people pass over. But I mean, to me, I think Netflix really needs to reset their priorities.
Jack from the future here. We recorded this about a week or so ago, so there are a few little changes that I would have made that I will pop in here throughout this video to give some thoughts on it. For original screenplay, I House of Dynamite is just continuing to tank on Letterboxd now that it's on Netflix. It's going down quite fast. Part of me still feels like this can kind of be like September 5. I think you can really do like a research narrative for all the research that went into this kind of situation. But I think I might just replace it with J. Kelly is what I might actually do. That or Weapons are probably the two ones I'm thinking about. But if I've got Weapons getting this, then I also have it in another category coming up. And then also maybe supporting actress. Is that in Best Picture? So I think I'd probably just swap out J. Kelly for House of Dynamite, but I think Dynamite is still possible. And I'd also keep an eye out for maybe Blue Moon or The Secret Agent, one of those two. The main reason I have House of Dynamite in my fifth spot is it reminds me of kind of like September 5 last year, where it's like a well-researched, like tight, like political thriller style film. It also has a lot of research that Noah Oppenheim can campaign about, like all of the research he did about all of the happenings within the government system. I'm not going to completely count it out yet, but I do think I don't have it in Best Picture. I think that's still plausible. But I think this category is definitely.
You took it out of Best Picture. So what's your Netflix movie in Best Picture?
Frankenstein and Train Dreams. Those two.
I put Train Dreams in because
we'll get to that in the next category. But yes.
Okay.
Yes. The reason I have it was just an accident winning here is because I think most people have either Sinners or Sentimental Value. I think that this might have like a similar thing that happened with Anatomy of a Fall a few years ago, where I think especially the Golden Globes are going to award him. I feel like out of all of these films, I don't think Sinners is an extreme writing achievement. I don't think that's the strength of that film. I do think Sentimental Value is a writing achievement, but I think if you look,
I just want to say Sinners wins if they want to really go out of their way to give something to Ryan Coogler, and it's a Get Out scenario. That's why Sinners wins.
Get Out's strength is writing. I don't think Sinners' strength.
I mean,
is
Get Out's strength is everything.
It's everything.
It's one of the great movies ever made.
Exactly.
Granted,
I don't think Sinners has nearly as strong writing or originality to it as Get Out.
With the thought process with that, because that was the most competitive screenplay category like ever. Like 3 Billboards, Lady Bird, Get Out, Big Sick, and then what was the fifth? Was it Shape of Water?
I don't. Maybe.
I don't. But like I think the reason why Get Out wins is because that was the place to give Get Out a win, a major win. And in case of Get Out, the only win. So I think that could be the narrative, especially if Sentimental Value and It Was Just an Accident cancel out, which could. They have, I think, similar voter bodies as far as who's going to support them. I went with Sentimental Value just because I think right now it's the more proven film. I think it did a little bit better in the festival circuit. And also I just see it as a little bit of a bigger player overall, where, because it's going to have a few acting nominations, it'll likely get in, to directing, so I that's why I picked it for screenplay. But I think the argument you make is very possible. It could be, it was just an accident. Yeah, it's also comedic, which sometimes they go for, but sometimes they don't.
I do think it's a very strong screenplay too. And I think if it's down to if Sinners is out of the category because it's not like, or out of the win competition because it's not like a super, which I don't think it will be, but it's not a super strong writing achievement. I think It Was Just an Accident out of any of these films has the best narrative to awarding someone. And I do think Jafar Panahi is really campaigning this year. He's already had a conversation with Martin Scorsese. He pretty much goes to every festival that he's at. I think there's a great narrative to awarding him in particular. And I think this would be the place to do it with the writing. It just makes the most sense to me. I think it's got like the most timely and like if you're going to vote for something that feels timely and relevant and speaking to the moment, I think out of any of these films here, It Was Just an Accident fits that for sure. So I think this is where they're going to choose to award.
I mean, A House of Dynamite is pretty timely.
It does. But it's not strong enough to win screenplay.
And listen, for sure. But I just think when it comes to It Was Just an Accident, I could have made the same argument for The Seat of the Sacred Fig. And for some reason, people didn't lean into that.
That wasn't in Best Picture. I think It Was Just an Accident could be top 5 in Best Picture.
It could, and that could be the deciding difference. And also, I think it's building off of the foundation that The Seat of the Sacred Fig laid as far as having some of these conversations. I studied Iranian films in film school, but if you don't know how movies get made in that culture, maybe you need to open the door and then it was just an accident, can walk through. I think you're completely right that if they lean into the individual, the same way that I think they leaned into Justine Trier, she was
it would be the same trajectory.
Award her along with her co-writer, which was her husband, right? Am I forgetting?
Yeah. Okay. Arthur Harari.
Yeah, so we could see it. I just, I also remember the years where we thought like certain things were going to happen when it came to screenplay. Like we thought something exciting could happen last year, but it went to Conclave. We thought something was going to happen where finally PTA was going to win, but they went to Belfast. So sometimes even the more exciting pick, maybe the more worthy pick, doesn't happen because they go with the all-around player, and that's where Sentimental Value or something like Sinners could surprise. I definitely think it's that top three. That it's one of those.
Those are the only three that could win for sure. Yeah. Marty is happy being here. I don't think that is contending for a screenplay win, but those top four will all be nominated, I think, for sure. And then that fifth spot is up to you. We've got two differences in there.
And I will grant you, is this thing on? I think ultimately could play better because it will play in theaters. And I just think it's a movie that I think people are going to, I get the sense that people are going to find endearing. I honestly think maybe the first responses were just being a little too unfair because it's not this big, bombastic kind of, big swing like A Star Is Born and Maestro were. It is a quieter, more intimate film and a more pedestrian, but not in a negative way. It's a very, grounded character dramedy. So I think once people now know what it is, I think they can better assess. And just Will Arnett and Laura Dern are just so goddamn likable that if they do any press for this movie, and Andra Day, I don't know. Like I think this movie could find a home in the screenplay categories. How Knives Out always is going to be in the screenplay categories, and we don't think of it anywhere else, but it finds a home in screenplay.
Exactly. Definitely plausible. I mean, it doesn't come out for like another 2 months, so there's definitely room for it in the nomination period to make some noise. And other honorable mention wise, I didn't make a list. I only did that for director. I think Jay Kelly is plausible, I guess, if that ends up in Best Picture, but I don't think either of us believe that will happen at this point. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it. Adapted screenplay, Hamnet, One Battle After Another. Speaking of Wake Up Dead Man, the Knives Out story. I've got Train Dreams in there because I added into Best Picture. I think Netflix is really underestimating that. And then No Other Choice is my fifth choice there. I think our main difference here.
I took out Wicked for Train Dreams. Yeah.
Okay. So then we've only got one difference there. So instead of No Other Choice, you've got Begonia, which I think does make sense. I don't think there's a world where there could be a world, but they tread similar territory. So I don't know if both of them will both get in. It's definitely possible. We both have Train Dreams, which I don't think a lot of people have. I added Train Dreams into Best Picture a few weeks ago, just because when you look at Netflix, I think I was early on the Train Dreams train. When you look at what's going on with Netflix and the films that they have, the one film that they have that has the most passion, pretty much everyone who sees it loves it, is Train Dreams. All those other films, Jay Kelly, House of Dynamite, Frankenstein's the strongest of those three, but none of them have like a ton of like passion, like people saying this is one of the best films of the year. I love this film. And all of those films are also a little divisive. So I think if Netflix was smart, they should start putting more campaign effort behind Train Dreams. And in this category in particular, the last they got in last year for Sing Sing, the same duo writing Sing Sing. And the film itself, it's very good. It's like my third favorite film of the year. It's not as writerly as a film like Sing Sing, but there are some great, beautiful lines and beautiful conversations. And it's based off a great piece of work. So I do think it's definitely plausible. And I have it in Best Picture, and I need to have some films in Best, because I've already got two films I don't have in Best Picture in here. So I've got it in there as well. So, and you've also jumped on the Train Dreams train.
Well, just because, again, you start to like, it's this or Avatar. And I just feel like this is more, like, as far as picture goes. And I just feel like this makes more sense in the Best Picture conversation. And then, you start to build it up. Okay, maybe Joel Edgerton comes along for the ride, an actor. Maybe Train Dreams gets a screenplay nom. And it could be a small total, but this makes sense to me, especially when you look at some of the other contenders. And so, yeah, I could see this being, Netflix just needs to get on board with realizing that this is their movie. And I just feel like,
I don't know if they will.
But I don't really think, like, if they can just campaign Frankenstein for the text and the Train Dreams for Above the Line, like that, I think is what they need to do. That is their best trajectory. And then, of course, Wake Up Dead Man gets its it's obligatory one nomination in this category.
Do you think it will get, because Glass Onion that year, that 2022 year, I don't know if you remember how weak that screenplay year was, where Top Gun Maverick got in of all movies, and like Women Talking was and it wasn't Best Picture, but those films you usually do not get Best Screenplay.
Listen, I think I honestly, like, looking at this list, like, I don't know if it's that much stronger than that year.
Weak. Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. I think that it just benefits.
The top contenders are stronger, definitely, than Women Talking was.
And I could see a world where One Battle After Another, they are like in their sweeps of the recent years. I mean, Oppenheimer got 7, Anora got 5, which is major for that sort of movie. Everything Everywhere got 7, I think. So like One Battle After Another could take screenplay too, but I also think this is a nice place to award Hamnet. And if Hamnet won here, screenplay, actress, supporting actor, that's a good package for Hamnet.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think that's something we should mention, that we both have Hamnet winning here. I have Hamnet winning picture still with that package that you mentioned, along with a few other things. And I don't think PTA is going to lose director, like we said before, and you have to win one of director or screenplay to win Best Picture. So that's why I still have it winning here. I also think it's more of an adaptation than One Battle After Another. I think One Battle After Another takes a little more loosely from Vineland.
This is great Shakespeare. Like it's a writerly movie.
For sure.
And Zhao did not win screenplay. You know, she won when she won
she did not,
because that was the father. So she can complete the set. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of those two. The only discrepancy we have is Begonia. I just see this as a more all-around player than No Other Choice. And I think it's also the priority for its studio, right? You know, where No Other Choice isn't.
Focus is behind Hamnet, for sure.
Oh, sorry. But No Other Choice is Neon, correct?
Yeah. I mean, neither of them are top priorities for either of them.
That's true. That's true. For some reason I was thinking Hamnet was Universal, like proper Universal, because of the Spielberg connection. But I guess it's not.
Focus under Universal, yes.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like it's so weird for me that Spielberg is doing we don't tend to see him in the independent space. Like, I don't know, Chloe Zhao and Spielberg connected just I mean, I love it. I'm here for it.
It's that good that he had to put his name on it.
I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, I think Begonia, I have it getting into picture. So I think this is like kind of similar, like a necessary nomination to support it in picture. And people have really, I think Favorite and Poor Things were probably both runners up in the screenplay category. So they tend to like Yorgos scripts of this nature.
Like The Lobster, I believe. So it's definitely possible to get a lone screenplay nomination, which is what I was between that and No Other Choice. Just with the reviews of both of them, I feel like I've only seen No Other Choice of the two, but I feel like No Other Choice's screenplay is probably a bit stronger. And it seems like with the stuff the writers branch has gone with before, both of them make sense. But this in particular, I feel like
Decision to Leave didn't get in, correct?
That got no nominations now.
Yeah. So, I wonder, because that was very well received, I feel, and that still wasn't able to penetrate the Oscar bubble.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Moving along to a new category, Best Casting. We have never talked about this category before. It's its first year in existence. I've got one little swing there that I think we agree on. We agree on a few. Well, we'll go over a difference in a second. I think three. I've got One Battle After Another, Sinners, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and then my big swing there is Weapons. And then you've got Sinners, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, Wake Up Dead Man, and Wicked for Good. So we agree on two. We agree on the top two.
I think we don't know what this category is going to be. Are we awarding big ensembles? Are we awarding, do you award small, intimate, because there are less people and, it's more vital that you get the right person? Are we awarding, big blockbusters because, it's like, are they going to lean towards Wicked because the roles are more iconic? Will they lean away from Wicked because they're not going to give credit to the sequel for casting these people? It's like, are they going to line up with the SAG ensemble? We have no idea. So I think that's why I kind of gave a mix of we have small indies with Sentimental Value. You have your Best Picture frontrunner with One Battle After Another. You have the big ensemble with Wake Up Dead Man and Sinners, which I think could be a big contender in SAG ensemble. And then Wicked for Good, I just think because I do think that cast is so beloved. And is probably the most known of all of these, of course, building off of the first film. So I could see it, popping in here. But I really
discount it for being a sequel. You already did that casting for the first film.
I mean, we don't
There's
seem
not
to
much new
discount.
casting.
We don't seem to discount Avatar and Dune and visual effects when they're more or less doing the same thing we already awarded them for. So I
It's
don't.
a little different. Like this film was shot together. Like they
Yeah, but also
they did the visual effects for Avatar at 2 separate points.
That's fine.
They did the casting and then they made the film.
The one thing I will also say is that I think this is an anomalous anecdote, as far as because Wicked Part 1 wasn't around for this category. So they could be awarding the casting because we're awarding Wicked in general.
It's just about how they view it. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we have no idea. So I mean, we could look to BAFTA, but I honestly don't think BAFTA is going to be that much help this year because, again, we're dealing with so many unique
it'll be after the nominations as well.
That too. So. But like looking at BAFTA's previous nominations,
yes.
like how they looked at this category before, and I do think what might help Wicked is that they also might look at degree of difficulty and like what they had to cast. Like you had to cast somebody who could sing, dance, act, that could come into play too. Like I really like they could go in so many different directions. Also, who is voting? Is there like a branch of casting directors? Like
there's a cast. Well, there used to be casting directors. I think it was in like 2013. There were 200 casting directors in the academy, and they did not have their own branch. They were under the members at large branch of the academy. And then it's now since doubled in size. I believe it's around like 550 people, and it's in their own branch. And it'll just be the casting directors voting for who gets nominated. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see how the casting directors choose to view it. I think they're going to view it a little more like BAFTA than like SAG. When you look at the films that overlapped between BAFTA's Best Casting and SAG Ensemble, the only films that got both of those were Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Minari, King Richard, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Killers of the Flower Moon, Honora, Conclave, and A Complete Unknown. So when you look at those, I think a through line there is both diverse casts and also like big star power casts. So I think you have a good chunk of that with both of these here. I think when it comes to the win, you have Sinners. I have One Battle After Another. I just feel like One Battle After Another, the achievement of that is like casting so many of these like non-actors or like just people who come in. Obviously, like there's the discovery of Chase Infinity, there's like the star power aspect, but like all of those small roles, like the nurse in the hospital, the army interrogator guy, just so many like the small like roles, people who come in for one scene or two, all the Christmas adventure people, and just absolutely kill it. That I feel like that is like something that casting directors in particular, they know how tough that kind of casting is to do. That I think that they will really appreciate that, maybe more so than Sinners. But I could definitely see Sinners winning as well.
The casting directors on Sinners had to find somebody who could play Michael B. Jordan twice. I mean, like it's a fun. No, listen.
Yes.
I think that it could very
the achievement with that is Miles Caton for sure.
Yeah. The Miles Caton versus Chase Infinity. Mm-hmm. But so we'll see. Again, I'm very, very curious. I think Weapons is are we doing Weapons for the kids or for Amy Madigan? Like, what's your
I think,
do you see it getting anything else?
When I think I don't know if I've added Amy Madigan in yet or not. I'll have to double check. But I think when you look, I don't know how much. I think the casting directors will pay attention to the campaigning and such. And I think when it comes to the campaigning of this, I don't know if you know this, the film went through like a whole casting overhaul during the industry strikes, and only one cast member remained on, which was Austin Abrams. So there's a whole narrative to be spun about like having to do like last minute creating up casting this entire film all over again. And I think it's a great ensemble film, just a very memorable lineup of performances in a like huge blockbuster hit film where with all the different perspectives, and you've also got casting the kids as well. So I think there's a decent narrative to be spun about there. For that, I want to take one swing in one category, so I'm going with that. I don't like doing the top 5 in most categories. So and who knows how this category is going to work. And I feel like it makes sense between like everything that went on with the whole development and casting the kids and like all this like stars in it as well. I think it's a very well cast film. So
I think they should hire you for the FYC because you made a great case, but I just don't know if anybody. I'm still not convinced that they're going to look at this in this regard when it comes to awards. So we'll see.
Like it'll just be the top 5 in picture, maybe.
It could be that. I just don't think Weapons is going to be a movie people look at for Oscars. I just don't see it.
Oh, interesting. I think it will be considered. I don't know how much it will actually end up getting, but I do think it will be in the discussion throughout award season for sure, especially if the critics push it, which I think they will.
Critics could.
And yeah, the only other difference is
I just think F1 has a better shot getting into the Oscar conversation than Weapons does.
I mean, yeah, I don't think F1 necessarily takes away from Weapons in any way.
Well, it's Warner Brothers. You have one battle after another. You have Sinners, and now you have F1.
I think Weapons has a better shot than F1.
We'll see. I'll bet you right now F1 will get more Oscar nominations than Weapons.
Well, it has more locked up nominations with sound. I'm not making that bet. I mean, the tech categories, F1 will definitely have a better shot at getting than Weapons. But I think above the line, Weapons definitely has a few shots at nominations that F1 does not. But yeah, and then our main difference is Hamnet I have in there just because casting those kids and those kid performances, huge. There's like 4 or 5 incredible like young actor performances in that film that I just think is a huge feat of casting. So that's why I've got that in there. And then Marty Supreme, that's apparently a film with like 130 cast members or whatever. So some casting with celebrities. And I think that's plausible as well. International feature, we can speed through the rest here. I think we agree on a good chunk here. I've got it was just an accident winning here because I've also got it winning screenplay. And I also just continue to think it's got a better narrative to being awarded than sentimental value. So maybe, who knows, if Sinners win the screenplay, this is where they think they can award Jafar Panahi, even though he doesn't actually get the actual award. And then, yeah, sentimental value definitely in contention for a win as well. Secret Agent, I've got getting nominated. The Voice of Hinrid Job, and then Left-Handed Girl is Netflix's only push in this category. That's the only international film they really got to push for. It's a huge crowd pleaser. Everyone who sees it seems to really enjoy it. So I think there's a world where that becomes gets in there just because Netflix puts their campaign money behind it. And I did not feel confident having 4 neon films in here. I don't feel great about having one strong category taken up majority by neon, which is why I don't have no other choice. Like we talked about earlier, Decision to Leave ended up missing out on this category. And I don't know, something about that film in general, I think it could end up missing. I feel it's either that or Secret Agent. The other 2 neons are pretty.
I love that you have it in Screenplay, but you don't
Agent.
have it here. That's crazy.
I think that's plausible. I think that different branches, listen, so different.
Anything is plausible. I'm just curious. Do you have that top 3 in picture?
I do not have Secret Agent in picture. No, I do not. So just
I'm starting to think that it might make its way in there, which then only bolsters it here. And then Wagner Moore. That's interesting. If Train Dreams and Secret Agent are these like movies that are rising, and which one of them gets more attention? So yeah, I don't know. I guess this is the predictable 5, but I think right now, let's see how they campaign. Mubi is proving to be stronger and stronger.
I don't think Sound of Falling is in the predictable 5. I think that's a bigger swing.
Then there you go. That's a little bit of a swing. I just think
but it makes sense.
Movie proved last year with Substance that it knows how to campaign, and they got very close with Demi Moore. So I think they could get in, and then the other 4 just are the ones that people are talking about. So I think right now they're the safer bets.
Yeah, and usually 3 out of the 5 international feature films are Europe, so that would fit here for sure. So yeah, that is that category. Animated feature. This is a pretty kind of like last year, a pretty easy 5. We've got the same 5, a little bit of a different order, but yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie, Zootopia 2, Arco, Elio.
Give it to them now.
Kind of like last year. Done. I don't know what else would even get in. It kind of seems pretty safe.
Well, I don't think Little Amelie is the predicted 5. I think that's 6. I think there's I think some people are predicting Neja 2, but I just don't see them leaning. Yeah, I just don't see that happening. And G Kids is actually doing actually does very well year after year. So
when they've got the goods,
this is K-pop. Over, done with. I mean, the only situation I could possibly see is that if Zootopia 2 was well received, it could be a Big Hero 6, How to Train Your Dragon 2 situation where we think they're going to go How to Train Your Dragon 2. But K-pop is original. It's unique. It's a phenomenon. I just don't see.
Money.
Yeah, and it's going to be nominated in song. I think this is clear. People will riot if K-pop doesn't win.
They will.
So
I just like think about last year where it was Wild Robot versus Flow, and they went with Flow. And I just, part of me is like, if Little Amelie, I think that's the only contender to beat it here. If that does get that like international buzz around it later on in the season, I think there's a world where that could happen.
But think about Wind Rises versus Frozen.
Yeah, but that was like a decade ago. I think we're at a different point in the Academy.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, I think we haven't seen something like K-pop since Frozen, and so I think that, you know, I would look at that.
Yeah.
So I think it's K-pop, and
I think so too. I just think there's a world where it could be beaten just because it's not the traditional kind of winner we've had.
You already have the Wicked stands against you.
I know.
You want the K-pop stands against
Wicked stands don't come for me in this either. I'm giving it so many nominations in this video. So, but yeah, I'm not going to have the K-pop stands against me, even though I think there's a world where they lose, but I think it will win right now.
And look at that, Neon once again.
Indeed. Cinematography. I've got Hamnet, Sinners, One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme, and then Train Dreams. I'm not sure about Hamnet winning. I don't feel great about that. I think there's a world where Sinners has a great narrative there, especially with Autumn Arkapow being the first woman to win the category. She'll only be like one of very few even nominated as well. I think there's also a world where One Battle wins. I don't think that's gonna like do a full sweep, and I don't think the cinematography was a standout in that film like it was in some of these others. Jerry's Kanji, Marty Supreme, it looks great in the trailers. People said it would look great. And then
Marty Supreme is period, which I think helps it in a lot of these craft categories, which then only bolsters it in picture and perhaps director, as you mentioned.
Yeah, for sure. And then Train Dreams is a beautiful one, probably the best looking film I've seen this year. And if I've got it in Best Picture outside of Screenplay, I should give it one or two other categories. And Netflix usually gets at least one film nominated here, which I think is our difference here. I think we've got the same four, except your Netflix film is Frankenstein instead, which I could see for sure. It's definitely a top contender in the tech categories in picture. I think it's one of his weaker looking films. I think it gets that Netflix sheen to it, unfortunately.
I think right now Frankenstein is a good bet in a lot of the craft categories because, you know, look at how Nightmare Alley performed. Obviously Shape of Water. So I think right now I'm going to just go with the more kind of stable performance of Frankenstein. But, you know, anything could happen, especially if Train Dreams catches on. And then I think the top three is locked. I think that three is going to happen.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to predict this for Sinners. I think this is the look of that film, the richness of the color. And then, it would also make history. So, and I mean, she did phenomenal work on Wakanda Forever. So I would love to see her win.
And the whole narrative around that film when it was first releasing was all the different formats. I think there's been a big focus on the way the film is looking visually. Yeah. So for sure, plausible. One of those top three will win, I think. We'll just have to see which one. Editing. This usually ends up just being your top five in picture. Maybe occasionally something else sneaks in there. I've got One Battle After Another, Sinners, Marty Supreme, Hamnet. And then I'm going with House of Dynamite there in fifth, even though I don't super believe in that. In editing, I'm not doing House of Dynamite anymore. No. I'm just going to do my top five, and then I would replace it. Like I said throughout this conversation, the smart thing. It's just I'm going to replace that with sentimental value. And that's my top five. It's our only difference. You've got Wicked for good. I mean,
I do, because I think this was my big kind of mic drop moment from last season, as I predicted Wicked was going to get into editing and score, and it did. I was very happy about that. And I just think Wicked is again, we're still out of release. Things could change once people actually see the movie. But right now, I think Wicked is still a top five contender. I think it's going to be a big craft player. I think it could very well walk away with an above the line award for Ariana Grande. And so to me, it's a very strong movie. It got him for the first film. There's more action in the second. I think just degree of difficulty. I think the editors recognize the musical sequences, the action. And I also think it's an entertaining movie. And I think we see a lot of times, you know, some of the more popcorn blockbusters sometimes do pop in here because they have to maintain that level of momentum throughout. And so right now I'm going to put Wicked in here, and enjoy my bliss before the movie comes out. And maybe I'm confronted with the reality of the movie, but who knows? It could also, it could light the world on fire again. So we'll see. But I'm using the first movie getting in here as my foundation.
But my thing with that and Wicked in some of these categories is sequels almost always
It's
don't do
the
as
final chapter. It's
everyone
not.
says this. It will be viewed as a sequel. People won't be
will
like,
not.
"This
I
is
do
the
not think
final."
it'll be viewed as a sequel. I think
People,
it will be viewed more as this is
if
the
you go
second
up to a
part of
general
the final
person
story.
and they say
I
Wicked
don't.
for Good is coming out, is
I
it a
don't think they're going
sequel
to
or
call
is
it
it the
Wicked
second
2.
part?
I really don't think people are going to
Well,
call
no,
it
it's not
Wicked
called.
2.
Well, it's
But I
going
don't
to be
think
the Wicked sequel,
it will
regardless.
be. It will be the second part. People don't call it The Godfather.
That's a
2.
sequel.
This
is not The Godfather. This is not a big block. This is a big blockbuster like popcorn hit.
I just don't think people are going to look down on it because this is the thing. It's not doing the same thing as the
I don't think it'll be looked down upon, but it will be, as we see with the second parts or sequels, and a lot of it, besides The Godfather, which this won't be, sequels to second parts don't do as well in these tech categories because they're like, especially when it's the year after, we already did that.
Name me a time when the second part, year after or not, was also the last part. I think the fact that it's the final part matters more than it's a sequel. I think that weighs it out, in my opinion.
I don't think so, but I don't want to get the Wicked fans coming for me. I think it'll do fine.
There already are. I don't know what.
I've got to get in plenty of nominations. I just think editing is a bit of a stretch.
Be kind to Jack. It's okay.
I'm being realistic about it. I'm talking about like in the acting categories.
Well, I was being realistic
Kate
last
Blanchett
year
is
when
the
I
only person
in this category, and she got in. And she, I mean, Wicked's pronouns would probably be she, but Wicked got into editing last year. I'm going to predict it until I see another contender. Right now, I think it has a lot of reasons that it could get in again.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, if it ends up being a top 5 contender, possible. But yeah. And One Battle After Another is sweeping this. I mean, the editing of that film is incredible, given the runtime and the pace. That's just for sure.
And the win. Chase, the third act, for sure.
Locked up. For sure. Production design, Frankenstein, Wicked for Good, Marty Supreme, Hamnet, and then I've got Avatar, Fire and Ash. I think we've got 4 in common there. You've got Begonia instead of Avatar, Fire and Ash. I'm curious as to why. I don't think nothing in that stands out to me.
Well, I just don't. I don't feel ready to go down the Avatar train. I just don't think people are going to be as jazzed about it. They were not as jazzed about 2 as they were with 1. Yeah, but so we could see it. Like you saw what happened where like the Star Wars movies were like Force Awakens got 5 nominations, and I think Last Jedi got.
Force Awakens was never in Best Picture.
No, but I'm just saying. Force Awakens got 5, and then Last Jedi got less, and then I think Rise of Skywalker got less. Like they just kept going down. And so I could just see Avatar. Okay, but this
is not Star Wars sequels.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think that I just get the sense that people are not going to be motivated to go crazy over Avatar again. It could get in. It could very well get in, but I don't know. Begonia is, I think, a little bit more of an original world. I think Yorgos, he has a unique
vision. What's the production
for his. Well, what he has, I just compared to Avatar. Yeah, but Avatar, again, we have to see it. But from what we've seen, it's a lot of what we've already seen before. At least Avatar: The Way of Water was this whole new world. I have to see how much of the Fire Tribe we're spending, or are they just going to burn everything down? In which case, I don't think that's worthy of production.
No, that's fair. There's nothing in the trailers that looks fresh and new. So I could, if I could drop it for something like Sinners, and that could be my top 5. I think that's definitely an easy switch out there.
I don't frankly see why it's in production design. I mean, what are they building? To me, production design is building. If that's the case, then we should be putting K-pop demon hunters in costume design.
No, I had the same question when it got nominated for the past 2 films. But if I'm going to keep it in Best Picture, I need to have it getting a few nominations.
Well, I don't have it in Best Picture, which is why it is getting in sound and visual effects, and that is it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's, I think, what else do we have? We UFC. I want to do Sinners. I need, and that probably makes sense to swap out Avatar for that. I need Avatar to get some stuff just because I have it in Best Picture, and I can't have it just being what Best Picture, visual effects, sound. I mean, maybe, but
and then
I'm keeping it.
And then as far as Frankenstein versus Wicked, I think that'll be the major conversation. I'm going to put Wicked out in front just because I do think that there's enough different things in this second chapter. Usually with sequels, you wonder, is there enough? But we saw with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever that they're willing to go back, for costume design.
That's costume design.
No
sequel has ever won production design. Just want to say that.
Oh my God, you and your sequel, his sequel.
No sequel has ever won production design.
I just think there's a lot. I think, frankly, because I think Wicked leans a lot into like the classic film styles, the Art Deco. There's a lot more.
But what's new? They just awarded this production design last year. What's new?
Well, again, we have to see. but Elphaba's lair and that whole castle is new. We didn't see that. We saw it for like 2 seconds in the first movie, but we haven't seen that. She has this little forest place. A lot of the Wizard of Oz locations, I'm sure, are new. Again, we don't know, frankly. We have to see. I don't think Frankenstein's going to have a lot of the. Frankenstein would have to be like a Fantastic Beast, where like it's just so blasé.
It's stronger than Fantastic Beasts. It's in Best Picture.
I don't know. I don't have it in Best Picture. Again, you keep saying
but it's going to get more nominations.
It's not, and I don't have it there.
Well, I think most people have Frankenstein in Best Picture at this point. I think.
Well, most people need to drop it for Train Dreams because that should be Netflix's priority.
Well, you can have both. I think Netflix can get 2 in there. But yeah, I think Frankenstein's production design is just more.
You're right. If Frankenstein gets something new. If Frankenstein gets into picture, then I could see it getting production design. But because I don't, and I think it could falter, I could see Wicked doing well. But I think it's those two. You agree it's those two. It's the top.
It will be one of those two that wins for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the whole thing with Frankenstein is it's new, whereas Wicked is we honored that last year.
We'll see. Again, I want to see what. Again, we haven't seen all of Wicked, so there could be new designs and stuff. I'm very curious. It's surprising.
And then we both got Hamnet. They built the whole theater, the whole globe. I think that's a great narrative.
They built the whole globe.
They built the whole world, the whole globe. And then Mari Supreme is Jack Fisk, who is a legend in this category. It's like you said, it's a period piece. It's I think globe trotting as well, so that's why I've got that getting in there as well. I think that's everything in that category. Costume design, similar films. There will be a quick discussion. We've both got Wicked winning here. I think we've got.
We have the same 5 in the same order. Yeah.
What is it? It's
same 5.
Yeah, we've got the same 5 in the same order. Wow. I don't know how much there's to talk about there. That seems pretty locked up to me.
I think we're good. Let's move on.
Okay. Congratulations. I've got Wicked winning something, guys. Like Black Panther won for costume design before. I have this winning as well. But yeah, moving along.
I think what needs to be said is that, again, if Frankenstein gets into picture, which you have, I could see this happening. I don't. So I think Wicked could win, especially because they've revealed that some of the Oz characters are makeup. And I won't spoil who, but you can assume. And once we see it, I could see that plus the green on Elphaba, plus all the hair. Like I could see them maybe leaning into this. Again, if they don't, right now, I'm not sensing that they want to lean into Frankenstein. It had a tepid response. They could come around to it. Right now, I'm not.
Pretty good score.
We'll see. Again, I'm right now. I'm going with
1 second place.
Okay, we'll see. We're gonna have. Right now, I'm not sensing it. It could come around. But I'm gonna go with again the more stable front runner in Best Picture. And given that, from what we can tell, they are leaning more into makeup and hairstyling this time. I think it could come away with it. But you're right. It is those top 2. I do not see Smashing Machine doing it because I just don't.
It's the same guy who did a lot of legendary transformations.
Yeah, so
that's one. That's true. But I think, I don't think there's a world where it wins. But I think it's pretty.
They don't want to lean into this movie.
We both got Sinners as well.
I want you to pitch me Blue Moon.
Blue Moon, I think Ethan Hawke is getting into Best Actor, and I think a lot of what has to do with there's a little bit of a makeup transformation with him. I don't know what else to put there, honestly. I don't feel comfortable doing like 28 years later or something like that. I feel like that's a little too horror-y. And Begonia, I don't really know what the makeup is in that. Besides, she has like white paint.
I love that you're like, I don't. What are we looking at? Well, again, I think that there is a physical transformation there tied in with a potential actor nominee. I think Emma Stone's a much more.
What's the physical transformation?
I think Emma Stone is a much more likely contender and actress than Ethan Hawke is an actor. And so again, it's also this category is so like there really isn't a lot here. So we'll see. We have to. We have to kind of get the sense of where they're going with this, but Blue Moon would be interesting.
I think there's a little bit of at least with Ethan Hawke, a transformation that makes me and because I think he's getting nominated. I'm like, well, I'll do that. Why not? Because I just think the only thing with Begonia is that she has white paint on her face at some point.
It's the lack of hairstyling that'll get her in. It's
who knows? Visual effects. This is pretty easy. Avatar's winning. It's locked up. F1 has some sneaky visual effects that I think it will get in there for sure. Fantastic Four. I think Marvel usually gets at least one in there, and it's pretty good visual effects, honestly. I think it was pretty impressive stuff, some of their best work in those films. Wicked, it's in Best Picture. It'll probably repeat this again. Then Frankenstein, once again, it's in Best Picture. And the visual effects there's some iffy stuff, but there is in all of these films. But the visual effects are pretty good overall in it. And usually, if you're a Best Picture film, that helps you strength-wise in this category more so than if you're not. Our differences are, instead of Frankenstein or Fantastic Four, you've got Sinners and Mission Impossible. I could see Mission Impossible. I'm not quite sure what the visual effects in Sinners would be.
I just think that they'll lean into we've seen it before with like, Irishman or 1917, even when it's not like overt visual effects, they'll lean into the Best Picture contenders.
I think those are much more clear visual effects than Sinners, though.
Well, I thought the visual effect in 1917 was film editing, but apparently the Academy disagreed with me. But
there's lots of explosions and stuff.
Okay. Steven Spielberg was doing that as a kid when he was
the
12.
Whole plane.
Have you seen The Fabelmans?
I know, but where is that in Sinners? I just don't see what the visual effects is.
Did you not see the scene where everybody explodes in a fireball? I think that's a visual effect.
Yeah, but I don't think that's enough.
Okay. Anyway, we'll see, but I definitely Avatar's winning, for sure. So, moving on.
Yes, locked up. Sound, F1, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Avatar, and Wicked for Good. We've got the same 5, just a little bit of a different order. We both have F1 winning. I don't think that's actually going to happen. Yeah, I mean, for now, it makes sense as a placeholder. I don't think it will actually win, but they do love their cars, go vroom vroom stuff, which also applies to One Battle After Another in a way, because there's a huge car. I think One Battle After Another, the editing and sound combo, the car thing, the shootouts, I think that makes sense as a sound winner, so I might do that instead. Just right now, F1 seems a little more baity. But yeah, the other ones, Sinners and Wicked, musical aspects, Avatar, huge blockbuster. That's the last one got in. Makes sense. Anthony had to dip really quick, so then these last 2 categories, I'll quickly go over what I've got and then what he got. Original score: Sinners, One Battle After Another, Hamlet, Marty Supreme, and Frankenstein. I think this is between Sinners and One Battle After Another for the win here. I just feel like Sinners is going to get something, and I feel like Ludwig is really beloved, and I feel like that score is a little more memorable and central to the plot, but I can't say, I mean, Johnny Greenwood in that score, One Battle After Another, is iconic, the way it just like persists throughout, even like those single piano keynotes. Both incredible scores, both super strong Best Picture contenders. One of those will win. I don't think Hamlet has a great score, but I don't think it will be strong enough to win this category, but it's very emotional, very moving, so I think it will be nominated now that it's definitely eligible. Marty Supreme, I saw lots of shout outs in the first reactions to that film mentioning the score and saying it's like a standout aspect of the film and it's in Best Picture, so I think that will happen. And then Frankenstein. This plot has missed a lot lately, but it's a good score from what I remember, not extremely memorable, but it's the spot and it's in a top tier Best Picture contender. That's what I've got for now. I think the only difference me and Anthony had was, instead of that, he's got Wicked for Good, which he talked about in editing before. He thinks it's going to repeat in nominations. I think editing is more plausible than this. I think, I mean, if Zimmer is disqualified for Dune 2, we'll have to see if this is even eligible this time around. I honestly don't think it will be, but we'll see. Who knows? But I have doubts about that one even being eligible. Other honorable mentions, I guess maybe F1 is possible. That's another Zimmer score. What else? A House of Dynamite, if that still ends up in Best Picture, I think it's very similar to what he did with Conclave, but I still think it's a great score. So if that's still in Best Picture, maybe. Jay Kelly, Nicholas Britell, some people have mentioned that score is good. If that ends up in Best Picture, maybe. Other than that, I don't see a ton of other contenders here. So I think those are your main top ones. Then our last category here quickly, original song. I've got The Girl in the Bubble, which is the Ariana Grande song for Wicked for Good. Wicked fans, I've got it winning something. Then Golden for K-Pop Demon Hunters. I think it will either be a Wicked song or Golden. We'll have to see. But then also No Place Like Home, which is the Cynthia Erivo song. I Lied to You, which I think will be the song from Sinners that gets in there. And then Diane Warren, of course, in Relentless. Anthony and I have the same 5, just a different order. He's got the Cynthia Erivo song winning here, which I think his whole narrative thing here is Ariana Grande wins supporting actress and Cynthia Erivo wins song. Since I don't have Grande winning supporting actress, I think this could kind of be like Lady Gaga when she was nominated for A Star Is Born. You're nominated, you're in a Best Picture contender, but we see a place to award you in an original song. And there was someone who has seen Wicked for Good who I think said that the girl in the Ariana Grande song was more of a standout than the Cynthia Erivo song. I think we also know Grande contributed to this, whereas I don't think we completely know whether or not Cynthia contributed to her song in terms of if they would get credit to win for writing. So yeah, I think it'll be one of those two. I think the Grande song, from what the buzz is, that's a little bit of a stronger song. I think it's also where they can see a place to award her. And the only thing I think could beat it is Golden, which I think could be kind of like a Let It Go from Frozen, where I mean that song has been huge. Like that's one of the biggest songs of the entire year. It's still probably like hitting in the, I don't pay attention to this, but like the Billboard 100. It's playing everywhere. Everyone has heard it. It's super catchy. I think there's a world if neither of those Wicked songs like absolutely hit it and are like catchy and like absolutely like great songs. There's a world where Golden just wins this because it is the biggest hit of it will be at the end of the day the biggest hit of all of these songs. I don't know how much that matters, but it is catchy. Everyone's heard it. I think there's a world where it's kind of like Let It Go from Frozen, which it's reached. I think this is honestly done better on the charts than Let It Go from Frozen. So it's a huge hit song. It's definitely possible to win. And also just keep an eye out for Train Dreams has an original song that I think could have a little bit of a narrative to it. Once again, if I have it in Best Picture, I'm going to look for places that I can slot it in. And that kind of makes a little bit of sense to me. And Lee, none of the songs in that film really stood out to me. I can't recall any of them. But who knows? Maybe if that ends up being a huge push in Picture by Searchlight, that could maybe happen. Who knows? I'd have to see which song they end up picking because I don't remember any of them. And I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so that is it for this video. Comment your guys' predictions on all these categories we haven't talked about below. Like the video, subscribe, stay tuned. Plenty of stuff upcoming. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.